Hello and welcome back to KXAN Plus. I am your host, Esmeralda Zamora, sitting on a different seat today, but still here with our KXAN meteorologist, Chief Meteorologist, Nick Bannin. Nick, what are we talking about today?
Esme, we're talking about musical chairs and you singing in a different place today, just to switch things up, right?
Yes.
What does it look like from over there?
It looks great. I'm
Okay,
right
good.
next to you, kind of.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Today we're talking about the end of daylight saving time and the return to standard time. Figured today would be a good day to do it. We're now at the beginning of October,
Yep.
and people starting to think more about fall things. And a month from tomorrow is the end of daylight saving time when we fall back. So I figured now, better time than any to give you all a first warning about the change that happens, of course, every year. Figured looking at the difference in sunrise and sunset times, you can see tomorrow our sunrise is at 7:25, but then a month from tomorrow, on the first day of standard time, sunrise is at 6:46, and then sunset tomorrow is at 7:14. Then a month later, on the first day of standard time, it's at 5:42. So it's really the evenings, the sunsets, that have the most dramatic of the shifts, because we actually see the sun earlier in the mornings after we fall back and switch those clocks back 1 hour, but it does make for some much darker evenings.
And Nick, for those of our viewers who are maybe asking the same question, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to fall back? What's the reason?
You know, there's been a lot of reasons that people have done it, and they're very difficult reasons to undo. Some of it was saving of the daylight. It's really not so much a gaining of light in the morning. It's really just a time shift. You're not really gaining any extra light. You're just moving around where the light is. And some of it goes back to farmers that would do some of the work in the morning. Some of it is saving of electricity. A lot of those reasons have sort of gone away. We're able to turn on the lights and use them at all different times. So there's several reasons there. And of course, there's been some discussions recently about getting rid of the time shift and settling in on either standard time or permanent daylight saving time, but none of those have been settled upon just yet. So for right now, we're going to keep doing this shift here twice a year, where we fall back in the fall and we spring forward in the spring. Yeah. So, and it's a good thing to remind folks of the things that you should do every time we make these time changes. Turning the clocks back 1 hour is sort of the obvious one, but also a good reminder to test your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors and replace the batteries on those too, whether they're working or not. Especially if they're not working, replace the battery. But even if they are, it's a good opportunity to switch out the batteries in those carbon monoxide detectors and smoke alarms.
When the batteries go out, they kind of annoy you, so you kind of want to replace them. So
Yeah.
if they do go out this time of year, replace them.
Yeah, exactly. And this happened to me literally last week.
Same.
You're kidding me.
Yes, I just grabbed it and put it in the garage, and then my boyfriend was like, "No, we need to change this out," and he.
So
he
you were
changed
just gonna let it beep in the garage?
Yeah, but I could still hear it inside.
Okay. So what they're supposed to do is chirp every so often to remind you, hey, the battery's low, change it. What mine did is at 6:15 in the morning, the whole alarm went off. And I have these interconnected ones. They're hardwired, and they've got battery backup, so that when one alarm sounds,
They all do?
They all sound. So then you're going around the house trying to figure out which alarm is it that's got a problem and which one went off. And depending on the brand that you use and the type you use, usually the one that instigated the whole alarm for the house flashes even when the alarm turns off, so that you can figure out, okay, I've got to do something with this. But I had two of them that were doing that. So I replaced the batteries in one of them, put them back up. They all were fine. And then the alarm started to go off again a few hours later from the other one that was flashing. So I replaced that.
And throw the whole house away.
I know, just be done. We're done with it. No, but it is an important thing to do. And whether your alarm is chirping at you or not, it's a good time to at least test your carbon monoxide alarms, your smoke alarms, make sure that they're working, and do those battery changes too, so that they're not waking you up at odd times of the day or night with the fact that the batteries have run out. And we've been talking more lately about NOAA weather radios and the
Yes.
importance of having those. It's also a good time to change the battery on your NOAA weather radio too, so that as we get into more active weather in the winter and especially next spring, that you'll have that NOAA weather radio good to go for their middle of the night alarms that might need to keep you informed about the latest weather information and some changes there. And we mentioned you get an extra hour of sleep in the fall. That's sort of the benefit. One of the benefits of falling back is an extra hour of sleep, but it does mean that it gets darker much earlier.
Yeah, you do lose that daylight in the afternoon when you're out of work. It's practically sun is already done, right?
Yeah, it just depends on when your day is done. If you're not done until 5 or 6, then it's getting dark or already dark on your drive home. So you've got to learn how to drive around and home in the dark again, because often we've spent several months not having to drive home in the dark. At least after work and even after school activities.
Yeah.
So you got to get used to all sorts of things again here with the end of daylight saving time and the beginning of standard time.
And switching your time in your car, on the clock in your car.
Yes.
You may be driving to work one day and feel like you're an hour late, but really you forgot to change the time.
Well, yeah, and it's those forgotten clocks.
Yeah.
Like the one in your car you mentioned, the microwave, the oven. These are all the ones that you'd forget to change until like weeks later, and you're like, "What? Wait, which time is it?"
Why is there so many different times? But our phones luckily do that on their own, right?
And that's the thing, is that as we've become more digital, a lot of clocks are making the changes on their own, but not all of them. So those are the ones that you need to change and set, adjust differently just before the clocks change on that Sunday, the 2nd of November. I want to walk you through how the sunset changes in Austin over the coming next few months. So November 1st is the last day of daylight saving time. Our sunset November 1st is at 6:43, and then the clocks go back an hour. So it's an hour shift, and then it ends up being an hour and a minute earlier because we're also losing daylight at the same time. So we're shifting daylight and we're losing a little bit more daylight too.
So that's what loses that 1 minute?
That's what loses the extra minute there, is that around this time of year, we're losing about, I think I checked, it was 1 minute, 45 seconds or so per day. And then we'll start to lose the daylight at a slower rate as we get closer to the beginning of winter, so that by early November, we're losing about a minute per day. And then by the end of November into December, we're losing less than a minute a day. And then as we approach the beginning of winter, we're losing a few seconds of daylight per day. So that's what accounts for that extra minute. It's an hour shift and then an additional minute that you lose. And then the earliest sunsets of the whole year happen November 25th through December 9th. That's a 5:30 sunset. It does not get any earlier than that. Beginning December 10th, though, we start seeing our sunsets get later. But at the same time, our sunrises continue to get later all the way into early next year. So there's sort of some different math there on the sunrise side. But from the sunset side, our earliest sunsets at 5:30 happen late November into early December. And then already by January, end of January, we're dealing with a 6 o'clock sunset again. So we're starting to see the evenings getting lighter again as we get into late January.
So it is just a short period of time that we do this change and see our sunsets a little quicker in the day.
Yeah, so it's all relative, right? If you think still that 6 o'clock is an early sunset, then yeah, that's going to continue into January and only a little past 6 into February. But truly the earliest sunsets of the year happen, sort of the ones that happen before 6 o'clock. It's just a short window from November 2nd through January 23rd where we have those pre-6 o'clock sunsets. And then after that, then they get later again. So it's a bit more manageable.
So we got to prepare for those early sunsets this time of year, right?
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about another angle to all of this is whether we did a daylight saving ending time switch or not, our days continue to change in length. Now in February, we're gaining daylight. We're gaining roughly 40 minutes of daylight in the month of February. In March, we're gaining 50 minutes roughly of daylight. Then we get into April, we're gaining roughly 50 minutes of daylight. And then in May, we're not gaining as daylight as much, but we're still gaining another 30 minutes of daylight in the month of May. And then as we head into June, we're not gaining a whole lot of daylight at all as we prep for the beginning of summer. And then we start to reverse that as we go into summer. We start to gradually lose daylight. So we're losing roughly 20 minutes of daylight in the month of July. And then as we go into August, we're losing roughly 40 minutes of daylight. And this past September, of course, we just finished September, we were losing, I should have said losing there, but losing 50 minutes of daylight there in August and now September. And now that we're in October, we're still losing daylight there, roughly a similar amount of daylight. And then as we head into the November period, we're losing daylight at a slower rate. So the rate starts to slow as we near the winter solstice. And then we're losing not a whole lot of time in the month of December as we're starting to slow the rate of our daylight loss, because once winter begins, then we start to gain daylight again. But what it does mean as I get back to October is that we've still got to lose another 50 minutes of daylight here this month. So whether we were to do the daylight saving ending time switch in November or not, we're still going to be losing daylight. And then, of course, we're just shifting the daylight with the ending of daylight saving time and the beginning of standard time.
Nick, when would our shortest day of the year be this year?
Shortest day is the first day of winter. It is every year. The longest day is the first day of summer. So shortest day of winter, December 21st, shortest day of the year, I should say, December 21st. First day of winter, we get just 10 hours, 11 minutes of daylight. Compare that to our longest day of the year, the beginning of summer, gets 14 hours and 6 minutes of daylight. So there's roughly a 4-hour loss of light from the first day of summer to the first day of winter. And here we are, not in the middle exactly, but first day of October, 11 hours and 51 minutes of daylight here today, and we'll still lose another hour and 40 minutes between now and the beginning of winter. So still more light now than what we'll have the beginning of winter, but we've already lost 2.5 hours or so of daylight since the longest day of the year, which was the first day of summer.
So we're through with summer, even though it doesn't feel like it here in Central Texas, but it's going to start getting darker quicker, and we all need to make sure that we know how to drive safely when it's dark outside, do everything that Nick mentioned about updating the batteries in your alarm systems, all that good stuff. It's time. Now is the time to start. Nick, when again is the official date that we start falling back this winter?
Yeah, so that is in 1 month and 1 day from today, October 1st. So this happens on November 2nd, so a month from tomorrow. So that is the day that you have to remember to do all the things. Of course, most people do it the night before if you have any clocks that need adjusting.
Just do it right now.
Well, I wouldn't want to do it right now.
Not the clocks.
You change your clocks now, you're going to be showing up at odd times for a lot of things here over the next month. But you can see what the sunrise and sunset times look like there for the first day of standard time. And again, a reminder as to how this all changes between tomorrow's sunrise and sunset times and then November 2nd's sunrise and sunset times. And of course, with kids having after-school activities that may not end until it's dark, as we head into standard time, you got to be on the lookout for people and pedestrians that are walking even though it's dark, or on their bike even though it's dark, because you may not be expecting them around at the times you're driving, but there's still activities that get out later and don't get out until after the sun is set. So just be mindful of that here in about a month's time.
Yes. Well, Nick, you wrote up an article on this. I believe it's on our website. We can show it here in just a few, but what did you write in the article that's different from what we talked about here?
Well, I generally covered a lot of what we've covered here, but you'll be able to grasp a little bit more about the shifting in the times and some of the landmarks or important milestones as far as our day length, our night length, our shifting sunrise and sunsets, Some of those I go into a little more detail on KXAN.com. And to get to the story, it's on the homepage, but you can also click on the weather and traffic tab and then the weather blog drop down, and then you'll be able to go through and recap a lot of what we talked about here today.
Well, before we wrap things up, I do want to ask you, what is your favorite to do? Fall back or spring forward?
Okay, so fall back means that if you had to wake up at 7, it's instead 6 a.m., so you get another hour of sleep. So I like that. Extra hour of sleep with the fall back is good. However, I've got kids, and that's the problem with kids. I mean, there's so much great with kids, but the problem is that they're not looking at the clock being like, oh, I can sleep more. Let my mom and dad sleep more. They're looking outside and being like, oh, it's light out now. Let me go wake the parents up. Yeah. So, as parents, you don't really get that extra hour of sleep so much. So, but I still think I like the fall back. On the day, I like fall back better. But springing forward, the beginning of daylight saving time in the spring allows for more light in the evening, and I do like that better. So I guess my answer is mixed. Where are you on this?
I think I'm similar to you, but I also prefer to have longer evenings with daylight. So I would rather have that.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. And as for what I do as a meteorologist on TV, and we've got a lot of access to weather cameras, having it go so dark so early
during your
in the fall,
nighttime shows.
Yeah, it means that at 5:30, 6 o'clock, we're not getting as much light out. So the camera shots are more nighttime shots. So that's one of the drawbacks there. But it does mean it's sort of easier to get up in the morning if the sun's up. So a little bit of a difference there. And of course, there's the article on KXAN.com if you want to check it out.
All of the graphics that we ran through during the stream are also in there as well, with more information on what daylight saving is. Actually, I thought it was daylight savings.
Yeah.
And Nick just told me it's daylight saving.
One of my first bosses when I started in TV in tiny little Elmira, New York, one of his first lessons, I think the first week I started, was there's no S in daylight. Well, there is an S at the beginning, but there's no S at the end of daylight saving time. It's not savings time. You're not savings time. You're saving time. So anytime I hear someone say daylight savings, I I cringe a little bit because there's this former boss in my head saying to never say the S at the end. So, but it's a common thing for people to say the S at the end is what it is. But the correct way to say it anyway is without the S at the end of saving.
Just a G.
Yes, just
Ends
the G.
At the G.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Nick, here on Nick's First Warning Weather. I do want to remind anyone, if you are watching us live, thanks so much for joining us. But if you're not and you're watching on our CTV app, thank you so much for downloading it, first of all. If you haven't, what are you doing? Nick, how can they download that app?
Well, we are on a variety of platforms. If you've got Apple TV, you can go into the Apple TV store and download the KXAN app that way. Also, Samsung TVs, you can download the app. I think Roku, and I'm missing one. Which one am I missing?
Fire TV.
Fire TV, yes. I always remember 3 of the 4. But anyway, so a lot of different ways for you to download this app for your TV or whatever you're plugging into your TV so that you can access us even if you don't have access to cable, satellite, a lot of ways to get us now using our connected TV app, which is great.
Trying to get to everyone wherever they are.
Exactly.
You can find videos just like this one, Nick's First Warning, or other KXAN Plus originals, as well as our newscast and some other special content that we have on there.
Yeah, and we keep adding more to it too, so it's always expanding.
Yes, always expanding. Well, thank you for joining me, Nick, and we will see you next week.
See ya.